Hey guys, welcome to video number 2. We're going to talk about fair play rules. We call them FPR here over the offense. So thank you for tuning in. We'll make this as quick as I possibly can, but I just want to show you the heart of some of our rules that we have here, because not everything is always black and white. So we're going to talk about two of the rules that if you just did these two things, you really wouldn't have to worry about a whole lot of other things. Owners are expected to mix up play calling, so different formations, different sets, different plays out of those formations and sets. If you do this one thing, this one golden rule on offense, you will be just fine, and that is don't do anything excessively. Excessive in the OMFL is anything close to half of your total offensive or defensive plays. If you keep it under 50%, all right, I know some games, there'll be some things that you do a little over. 60 is the top, but again, this is not a black and white rule. The heart of the issue is that just mix it up. Don't do anything excessively. So even when it comes to running the play, run the play. You can occasionally call a hot route. You can occasionally call an audible. Okay, those things are allowed. This is not a script up a play at the line of scrimmage every play on offense or defense. You can't go to the line and start calling a bunch of audibles and eating the clock every time and calling up a bunch of hot routes and just scripting and creating your own play. We ask that you run the plays and run them where they're designed to go. If you're calling a screen, you should never, ever throw to a wide receiver that's running a streak downfield. You called a halfback screen, run the screen. Did it get blown up? Great. Then throw it away, take a sack, or throw it at the feet. Do what you got to do, but run the play design. If you call a halfback dive to the right, you should not be at handoff running a sweep to the left with your running back. Like, that's not where the play was designed to go. It is okay to take a loss. It's okay to take a loss on that down, a loss on that drive, a loss in a game, and come back the next week, the next drive, the next play, all right, and do it again and play better. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to cut back. We'll talk about cutbacks here in a minute. They just should not be done a majority of the time. You should mix it up, run the play where it's supposed to go, so that you're not having a lot of these issues. Again, if a breakdown takes place, you're allowed to do what you need to do, but I want owners to be okay with taking losses on plays. So if you run the play where it's supposed to go, you don't run certain plays or certain hot routes, certain audibles, certain anything excessively, then you're going to be just fine. Nothing else is going to bother you. So those are the two big things. Keep the thirst to a minimum. People get thirsty in games. When I say thirst, I mean people get edgy and they want to start pushing those rules. They want to start pushing the gray area. They want to start really leaning on those tight end throws, on those certain blitzes, on those certain plays, okay? Especially when it's a tight game, especially when it is a playoff game, an important game, a game to take a lead in a division. All right, we're asking that guys chill out, play their game, play the game that they call, and if you lose, you lose. We're going to have another season, and there's going to be another game, and there's going to be another opportunity for you to fix the issues that caused you to lose. Another number one rule here is we are a no-switch league. This means when the ball is in the air on offense or defense, you're not allowed to click and switch. So as a quarterback, when you throw to your receiver, your tight end, your running back, you're not allowed while the ball is in the air to select your running back, wide receiver, tight end, and manually catch the ball. It leads to guys being better clickers, quicker clickers, and winning because they can click a button quicker than you can. That is not what we want. That's not the type of league we want. So we are a no-switch league, which means that you are, sorry about the emails that are popping up. I'm still at work here. But you are expected to be strategic in your play calling, allow the animations to take place. This now forces you to build up your receivers and get those catch attributes and not just do them because you were able to click the button quicker than the other guy. We look for guys here. We are league set up to be a league where if you're a good GM, a good play caller, and you're strategic and play smart in the game, then you can win here. And not just guys who put the fastest players on the field and who are the fastest button clickers in the league, which other leagues can tend to be. And if you're not great at quickly switching or manually using and covering 100% of the field with one player, then you're not going to win. That's not the type of league that we are. So no switching, major rule. Let's talk about some quarterbacks. No manually sprinting out of the pocket after the snap, so you can't take the snap and sprint to the sidelines. That's not allowed. Look, don't drop back beyond 10 yards. We're not out there with a ruler and keeping track of each and every single thing, but you can tell when a guy's dropping back 15, 20, 25 yards. That's just, don't do that. That's like an old rule. You just shouldn't do that. Quarterback sneak, completely banned. So even in the red zone, everywhere, it's just completely banned. You cannot run the quarterback sneak. This doesn't mean that you can't run with your quarterback. You are allowed to run with your quarterback, but the sneak out of a goal line situation is not allowed. After you get to the numbers, so if you're running to the left or the right, when you get to the numbers, you have to throw the ball or throw it away or run. After you hit those numbers, you cannot throw the ball. You're not allowed to run to the numbers and stop. What happens is the AI begins to pull cornerbacks and linebackers off of covering guys to now chase the quarterback, which leaves their guys wide open. It's just a lame thing to do, and we don't want that here. So if you can move out of the pocket to buy yourself some time, but get rid of the ball, throw it quickly. Don't use that little flaw in the game to open up passing lanes. We have an 80-20 rule here. That means your starting number one halfback should not get more than 80% of the carries. The basic easy rule of thumb is for every 4 carries that you give your starting running back, sub somebody in for another carry. So 4-1. If you did 4-1 all game long, you're going to mix it up. You're going to be in the 80-20 rule. You're going to be just fine. It can be easily done. You hit R1, formation sub, hit your running back, sub in the backup. The next play after he gets a run, swapping back, put your starter back in. Outside the tackles versus inside the tackles must be an even 50-50 split. In other words, we don't want that to go a majority. So we don't want you doing 100%, 75% of runs outside. That is what ends up happening. We have to force guys to go inside. An inside run is anything inside the 2 tackles, okay? So force yourself to call some inside runs. Don't be a guy that leans all the way on the outside runs. Those are just easier. So we force guys to be inside. You're not allowed to cut back immediately after getting the ball for the quarterback. If the play is blown up, then it's blown up. Take the loss. So if the play is called as a sweep to the right, and the second that your halfback gets the ball, he's running to the left. I mean, the nanosecond that he touches the ball, he's running to the left. Then that is what is not allowed here. We just don't want to see that. It's not realistic. Guys can't do that in real life. They would fumble the ball, but you can do it in the game. So again, you're not allowed to cut back immediately after touching the ball from the quarterback. We ask that you keep cutbacks to a minimum. You're allowed to do cutbacks, just not every single play. So what we ask to do is a cutback can be performed right to center, left to center. So if my play is designed to go off the left tackle, I'm allowed to cut that play back to the center, anywhere, any of those gaps. If it's called to go off the left tackle, I'm allowed to cut that back towards the center in any of those gaps. I'm not allowed to go, if a play is called to the left tackle, all the way to the right tackle or all the way outside the right tackle. I'm not allowed to cut it back to the right guard. I have to stay inside those 1 or 2 gaps because that is realistically what a player in real life could do. So that's what we're asking you to try to do. Keep those to a minimum, but if you do that, keep it realistic. Center, also out to the right, out to the left. So plays going right up the center, you're allowed to go left or to the right, either one, because that is really realistic. just no horizontal running. Well, what's horizontal running? That is running horizontal along the line of scrimmage. That's on kickoffs, wide receiver catches, halfback runs, everything. Horizontal running is not allowed. You're not allowed to go straight left and straight right horizontally across your screen, okay? It's just not, again, realistic. Players don't close in as they would in real life. If you were to run horizontally in real life, we all know that players in the NFL are just too fast. You would get caught for a loss. But in Madden, players take bad angles at you, and running horizontally will open up the outside run for you to make the corner, and that just doesn't happen in real life. So no horizontal runs. Shotgun runs are asked to be no more than 50% of your total runs. Again, shotgun runs are easier in this game. The holes are bigger. It's easier to do. And so we ask that not only you're not allowed to run a shotgun-only offense, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you're not allowed to run more than your run, 50% of your runs out of the shotgun. Keep them to a minimum. What guys will do is they'll run all their middle runs, so anything inside the tackles out of shotgun, and then all their outside runs out of normal formations, because that's what works, and it abuses it. We're asking that you don't do that. No more than 25% of your plays should be screens. We just don't want to see guys running 10 screens a game, okay? So 25% of your plays, passing plays can be screens. They don't have to be, but no more than that. Don't be running 8, 10 screens a game. Play action percentage should not be more than 30%, all right? And it should not be allowed greater than 10 yards. If it is 2nd and 15, you shouldn't run a play action, because no real-life NFL player is biting on a 2nd and 15. They're just not. But in the game, they run the play that's called, and so they will bite on every play action. So again, keep it realistic. 1st and 10, 2nd and lower, 3rd and lower than 10. You can run play action. Keep it in 30%. So don't be running 15 out of 20 plays or play action. That's not realistic. 30% is actually higher than NFL numbers. So again, keep it under 30%. Don't run play action all game, and you'd be fine. No parallel running. We talked about that. That's horizontal. Sprint sideline to sideline. Again, causes bad angle. No backwards running ever. It's just not allowed. Don't go backwards. Keep it going forward. Keep it moving. Take your loss. Fullback dive is banned inside the red zone, inside the 20-yard line. Again, it's just an easy give me 5 to 8 yards most of the time. So we ask that you don't do it inside the red zone. We are a strategic league, so we'd like wide receivers to be the number one priority. This means that tight ends should not be, and halfbacks and fullbacks should not be the number one target for your team. You can have a stud tight end, and you can get him his touches, but I better see a receiver that is up there with touches over him or equal to him. Some games happen to where you may need to lean at your tight end. This is not a one-game thing that we look at. We take this as an average overall when we look as a season. I just don't want to be a league that has 10 tight ends as their number one receiver. Tight end throws are easy. They're always open, and so they can be easily abused. We're asking that guys don't do that here. Play calling. Coach suggestion of play calling is banned. You can use play types sometimes, but most of the time we want you to learn your playbook, call your own plays, figure it out yourself. Do not use the same type of play every 3rd down. Everybody has like their money play. They know that works. We're asking that you do not abuse that. Don't use that every 3rd down. Calling play action on 3rd and long. We talked about that. Don't do it. It's lame, and we don't want to be that type of league. You're not allowed more than 3 hot routes or 1 audible per play on offense. This includes protection slides, fake hot routes, barking adjustments. Anytime you can hear the quarterback talking, okay, we're asking you to keep that to 3 on the hot routes, 1 on the audible. And we're asking you also to not do that every single play. It can be allowed sometimes, just not every single play. Every team must use some form of a pro set of offense on a majority of their plays. This is I form, pro form, weak, near. I'll even allow double tight end formations to be a mainstay as your offense, but not 3 receivers, not bigs, not shotgun, not 4 receivers. that is not a main offensive type that should be used a majority of the time. Again, fullback dive is banned. Vertical plays with 3 or more vertical routes are banned outside of the last 2 minutes of each half. Inside the last 2 minutes of each half, you can call those plays. Outside of that, 3 or more vertical route type of plays are banned. Verticals are abusive. They're lame. They work too easy, and so that's why we had to do that. Manually motioning a player and snapping it before they're set. So you're not allowed to move a receiver, and then when he gets in the offensive line, snap the ball, so now you get an extra blocker. It's lame. It tricks the AI. It tricks the blocking. Don't do that. Run-pass ratio should not be over 70-30 in either direction. Okay, some games get out of hand. I had a game recently where the guy was just blasting me. The clock was getting ate up. I didn't run that many plays, and I may have been pushing this. I may even been over it, okay? So it happens sometimes, and that's okay. But a rule of a majority, if you're running 50, 60 plays, and they're 70, 80% passing, then there's an issue there, and when we want that to get back into balance. Play clock is not allowed to be ran all the way down except the last 3 minutes of each half. 4th down rule, you can go for it on 4th down in the following situations. 4th and 2 and in your opponent's territory. So past the 50-yard line, less than 2 yards. You can go for it any distance when losing by 20-plus points, when losing by any amount in the 4th quarter, or when losing by any amount in overtime. You can go for it on 4th down. Oh, I'm sorry. In any other 4th down situation that doesn't fit in what I just said. You have to punt or field goal. All fake field goal and fake punt situations have to fall in that allowance. So less than 2 yards, past the 50, losing in the 4th quarter, losing by 20 or more, or losing in overtime. Onside kicks are only permitted by the losing team in the 4th quarter. No huddle is only allowed in the last 2 minutes of each half, or by the losing team if you're losing by more than 14 points in the 2nd half, if you're losing by any amount in the 4th quarter. And you have to allow the defense to get ready. So this isn't like, oh, I got him. He's not set. I got him. Allow him to get set. All right. If you make an audible, allow him a second or two to do what he needs to do. Okay. Don't try to just catch guys. Let them get set before snapping the ball. So that is all of our offensive FPR. Hope that makes sense. Please ask any questions that you may have. I'm going to end this video, and then we'll move on to the defensive FPR.
Be to me.